If there's one thing about long-airing shonen shows, it's that there's always a certain point that the community almost comes to a complete consensus on, that is the tipping point of the series. For Bleach, it's usually after the Soul Society arc, Naruto when Shippuden starts or somewhere after the Pain arc, and Fairy Tail when the first episode begins. Jokes aside, it's really hard for a show with 100 plus episodes and required weekly chapters for the manga to stay consistently great. There are very few out there in the conversation. The most notable of the two for me personally are Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. These are the two shonen shows I feel stay quite consistent throughout their 100 plus episode span. However, I haven't seen enough Yu Yu Hakusho to have a fully developed opinion on the matter. Hunter x Hunter in particular I find impressive because of how mainstream it's gotten since the 2011 release. This has gotta be the most popular and consistent shonen of all time. From the Hunter exam to the election, it stays great. While some may have mixed feelings on certain arcs for pacing issues such as the Chimera Ant arc, most notably with the Killua turning around episode, the Royal Guards gushing so hard over Meruem accepting their energy, and general setup for the climax, but overall the arcs are always entertaining and enjoyable. This comes from how amazing of a duo Gon and Killua are. Their chemistry is so in sync and perfect at all times. Even through their fights, they are able to work things and discuss their thoughts, even if it takes them a while to have everything sink in. Hunter x Hunter doesn't let Killua and Gon be over-the-top broken heroes either, like most shonen, so the formula doesn't get dry from them winning every fight with ease or through the power of friendship. They struggle and fight for their lives all the time, and it actually feels like there's large stakes in these fights. They remain strong obviously, but there's always tons of people stronger than them in the world and current arcs. They have to work together with their amazing chemistry and unique powers to overcome any obstacles they encounter. Togashi also does an amazing job of making events unfold in an incredibly fluent way where it feels like things aren't really ever forced, and that they sort of just happen as they would in real life. It gives them more fluent storytelling and makes the world feel more real and lived in. The Hunter exam is an action-packed test of newly growing hunters' skills from fighting to problem solving. The exam leads into the Heaven's Arena arc, which introduces Nen and the importance of it for hunters trying to make it to the top. If a hunter doesn't know Nen, it's basically a guarantee that if the person you're fighting knows it, you're going to lose and suffer extreme damage. This is presented by fighters in the tournament rankings that have learned this the hard way and intend to teach Killua and Gon the hard way as well. Then onwards into the Phantom Trope arc, with more of a focus on the level-headed Kurapika from the Hunter exams we all love. He goes through his own struggles to get revenge on the Phantom Troop and has some of the most brutal fights in the entire series. Greatly action-packed and introduces a lot of unique hunters with strange abilities and powers, especially from the Phantom Troop. Gon then finally gets a good hint on how to find his father through a game he made called Greed Island, which leads into the arc. And while I find some of the villains to be rather mundane compared to some of the others, it's still well done for the most part, and has some amazing scenes such as the dodgeball fight, which is my personal favorite for the arc. There are tons of different changes throughout the arc to adjust for how things are unfolding, and the most notable and divisive one would be the Chimera Ant arc, which is next in line. There is a narrator during the 61 episode arc, which is notably the longest arc in the entire series by far. The addition of the narrator for constant events rather than more commonly used monologues has been met with a lot of confusion, but I believe it to be an amazing addition. The narrator is able to explain and help the viewer understand everything happening through slowdowns in narration, which is especially important during the palace invasion, which takes place only over a few minutes. It would be extremely hard to convey what is happening in a meaningful and fluent way due to this time constraint and all the characters' specific missions during the invasion. The narrator also helps the characters with emotions they aren't able to fully express and understand during important scenes because of how fast things are happening or how hard they are to fully digest. Finally, the end of the 2011 series anime is the election arc. This one isn't action-packed with fights or anything, it's more emotional due to Gon's injuries from his fight with Pito and finally meeting his dad. Nonetheless, it's an entertaining and emotional arc where Leorio finally gets some more screen time. I think of all these arcs and have nothing but fond memories. Then I think about Naruto arcs, Land of the Waves, fantastic. Haku and Zabuza are some of the best characters in the whole series, honestly. But then I think of when they were retrieving Gaara from the original Naruto and get this confusion in my head. Just sloppy ideas and execution, didn't really feel like they knew what they were doing. And I don't even want to think about the Paradise of Life arc. Naruto, especially Shippuden in particular, is the definition of inconsistency. Sometimes the arcs can be entertaining and engaging, but a lot of the time for Shippuden mainly at least, it's constant misses, and I find this to be a great example for long-running shonen as time goes on. Meanwhile, I never get that feeling of an arc missing in the slightest from Hunter x Hunter, but I get it all over for Dragon Ball, Bleach, Fairy Tail, Hajime no Ippo, and countless other shonen. The way Hunter x Hunter is able to create meaningful and real feeling characters while keeping engaging storytelling with great fights is why I never found myself getting tired of it.